everybody. Happy Saturday. It's editing KJ. It's Saturday. You don't usually hear from us on a Saturday, but it's the holidays. We're right between Christmas and New Year's. Maybe you have a little extra time on your hands. Maybe you're off work or school, and we just want to drop a little bonus episode. If you remember back in episode 9, we did not have time to talk about Riverdale, but we had a lot to say about it. So we thought we would just take all of that Riverdale content and we would just create one good bonus episode that will get you through a little extra content for the winter holiday season. So this is that. Please enjoy. Let us know what you think. Let us know which Riverdale moments we missed, because I'm sure even though we talked a whole episode about them, that there's plenty that we missed.
When you think of crazy moments that happen with seemingly no explanation and no reasoning to it that don't make sense, I think of Riverdale, that's for sure. Yeah.
I feel like there was a Riverdale moment that didn't make it onto my list and that I just can't remember. So I'm sure people are gonna have so many more to add.
Yeah.
Please hit us up on our social media if you have more of these types of moments, because I know I've forgotten something big.
Oh yeah, sure. I mean,
I can feel it in my bones.
Even last night I was going through and adding things because there's just so many. I mean, you can Google crazy Riverdale moments, cringy Riverdale moments, and there's so many that you just forget about. So to start, let's talk about the season 3 finale, which is pretty. What season are we even on? I don't even remember.
Season 5 is upcoming at the time of recording.
So yeah, pretty recent. Yeah. I didn't know if that was just my brain not knowing, quarantine brain not knowing if that was actually recent or not. But season 3 finale where we find out all about who the Gargoyle King is and all of the Black Hood.
Yeah, the Black Hood was involved. Yep.
Black Hood was involved. Oh my god, so much happens.
Jason's corpse was dug up.
Yeah, and then at the very end, it's
gross. So gross.
Oh my god, and I wish that it was just for that one episode too.
But no, it's for a lot of season 4, but it starts in the season 3 finale, and that's so when Penelope makes them run a Hunger Games style event.
Oh my god, yeah, I forgot about that.
The episode is called Survive the Night. They have to basically they're getting chased through the woods and they have to do challenges. Betty has to shoot her dad and
oh my god.
Betty and Veronica drink poison or something. Somebody had to drink poison. One was I think Veronica and I think Betty was the other one. Maybe it was Jughead who had to drink the poison. I don't know. And then they get rescued by Cheryl and the other serpents. It's a crazy episode. So much happens.
And then at the very end is when we it seems like they killed Jughead, right? Is what how it ends.
That's where that starts as well.
Yeah.
And I've never gotten to the part where they fix that up, so that's the only scene that I have from that because I never finished season 4. So I rewatched that to see what happened at the end of season 3. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, it was a jam-packed episode full of just every moment of that was
yeah, that whole shocking. Episode. I think
that's when the farm was still coming to a head as well, if I'm not mistaken. I think that was the peak of the organ harvesting as well.
Oh my god.
It might have been an episode or 2 before that, but it's definitely in that area.
Right near the end.
Yeah, I feel like it was the first 1 or 2 episodes that things started happening with the farm, started wrapping up and stuff with the school bus and the rocket happened and all that kind of stupid.
I think all that stuff was in the early bits of season 4, but I think the season 3 finale was also where we met Charles for the first time, and we found out that Alice was undercover this whole time.
Oh my god. That's crazy though. That was all in one episode.
Yeah, it was. I think it might have been the last 2 episodes. Anyway, it was those 2 episodes are really crazy, and then I guess that's a good way to transition to the farm storyline in general was a lot. I mean, I like that Riverdale tends to borrow from some real life. They just combined a bunch of cults into one super cult moment.
Right. I like the concept of the farm storyline, but I don't think that they did it that well.
I think it was too really good until the end.
True. Yeah, it started to go off the rails a little.
I was on board through the recruitment and the moment in the musical episode that we talked about in episode 3, where at the end of the musical, all the farmies stand up and Mr. Weatherby's joined the farm and everybody's wearing white. That's so good.
Yeah.
I got chills the first time I saw that, but And I was on board for
Crazy.
the organ harvesting that they were doing.
I was so off board.
I know,
By
I
that
was too.
point, I was so
Like,
I was
what is
on a
happening?
different board.
I'm like, okay, I get where they're going with this. The rocket is where I got off.
Oh,
I was like, I'm
my
out.
God. Oh my God, the rocket! I was actually having an out of body experience. Just oh my! I can't even describe how just. I don't even want to give them the credit of saying shocked. Just like actually having an out of body experience. I was so unbelievably unimpressed and surprised in a bad way.
Yeah.
Are you actually kidding me? He was gonna build a rocket to escape. Like, what is happening?
I was just so confused. I was like, this doesn't even... It's out there for Riverdale. Like...
Yeah,
exactly. I liked the hypnosis and the dark Betty confrontations that turned out to just be Polly and
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
some hallucinogenics, and I liked all of that. I think that cults are so interesting to me, and I liked they were borrowing from all these real life cult stories.
Yeah, I feel like that is on par for Riverdale.
This was supposed to be the climax where all of this came together, and even though some of the stuff that had already happened was a little bit out there, this was supposed to be where it came to a head.
Yeah, this has been building up for
and then they hit me with
so many.
More than a season.
We suffered through so many episodes of having to hear about this farm and
honestly,
listen to Alice being a horrible mother and abandoning Betty for the farm and being this crazy person, which they just swept under the rug and said she was undercover, but all right.
No.
And then it all was supposed to come to a climax, and he's this crazy villain that we're supposed to be afraid of, and he's dressed up in this Evel Knievel outfit going to build a rocket to...
Yeah, it takes them to outer space or whatever it is.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Help them ascend. And
it just gives me Dr. Doofenshmirtz vibes.
Yeah. I never know how much credit to give the Riverdale writers when it comes to how much is planned ahead. Because this whole idea of there's a farm that that Polly and Jason were going to go to when they ran away pre-episode 1 was mentioned way, way early in season 1.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much of this they had in mind. I can't imagine much of it.
Yeah, no, I don't.
But it's just I've recently rewatched just season 1 of Riverdale. I can't rewatch the whole series.
I was gonna say,
but I just rewatched season 1 for a whim, basically, and I was like, I just really want to know how much they had planned at this point, because it seems like a weird plot detail, a farm upstate, of all the places to go. It seems like a weird place for Jason and Polly to decide to go, either one of them, having never lived on a farm before.
Yeah, exactly.
Did they mean for the farm to be a cult this whole time? But there's just no way of really knowing. The whole cult thing is a time.
It's really the epitome of what this episode is about.
Yeah.
It's the farm storyline.
And that's when we get Alice just being a terrible parent and Kevin becoming awful, and
that was going to be my next point, was Kevin becoming this absolutely just unempathetic and really hard to forgive. For me, this character that's just,
I know,
it's hard. I mean, I think Kevin's interesting because the show plays fast and loose with Kevin. Kevin and Reggie, I think, get treated the worst by the writers
for sure,
in terms of sometimes Reggie's great and the best character on the show, and then the next episode Reggie's homophobic or awful.
Exactly.
Just whatever they need Reggie to be that week. And Kevin is often treated pretty similarly, just gay.
Sure.
And
just the gay guy, and
the gay guy, and then he's whatever iteration of gay they need him to be that week.
Exactly. Yeah. Just mold his personality to whatever they feel like he needs to be that week.
But yeah, he did some stuff in his time in the farm that is horrible. And I think that they really ruined him by doing that, because I think that the way that they've used Kevin's character actually makes him a good candidate for someone to be vulnerable to a cult.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, for sure.
I think that's so made sense for Kevin's character, was for him to be vulnerable to this cult, but they just didn't do a good job in the aftermath. Even if he'd done all these horrible things, I think if they'd just written how he came out of the cult differently, it would have been fine.
Yeah, but they just
it's the way that they didn't really show his recovery from the cult. at all.
Exactly.
That
like
makes
now
it hard
he's
to deal
fine,
with.
and now we're supposed to like him again, and now Betty and him are friends again, and like
We're
what?
supposed to just be on board.
Exactly. Like after Kevin is like literally dragging Betty back to like get her organs harvested, and now they're friends.
Yeah.
Like what is happening?
Yeah. It's rough. It's rough.
It's really rough. What they did to Kevin's character is definitely it's
Mhm.
hard. It's hard to overlook and like look at him normally now. Alice being horrendous. Gosh, I don't like the way that they resolved that either with her being undercover. I
No.
just don't think it.
I think she
They were
was too
scrambling.
terrible.
Yeah.
Especially if
They
she was
were
under. It's one thing if she was undercover part of the time, but like their whole thing is she's been undercover since day one,
Mhm.
Right.
and I'm so not on board with that. Like she ruined Betty's future by giving away her college money,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and like Betty was homeless and didn't
I
have
know.
any parents. Her father was in jail and her mother abandoned her, and she's a minor. Betty should have been taken away by Children's
Yeah.
Services.
Where
Nobody's
is
been
social
taken by
work?
Children's Services since season 1 with Jughead, but literally every single character, every single one of the core four since then has been in a position where they should have been like assigned a
Mhm.
caseworker from social services
For sure.
and taken away
100%.
from their parents permanently.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that. I just don't think it tracks. I don't think that her being undercover the whole time. I mean, when her and Betty are at home, like alone, just those
Mhm.
two, she still had that farm brain, like
Yeah.
It's the
what do you
exact
mean?
same thing as what they did this season, and like a part of it was like how they wanted this season to go, but like with this season with the Jughead storyline,
Mhm.
there's a lot of conversations that don't make sense. Because they're
Exactly.
all talking
Mhm.
like somebody doesn't know, and then it turns out that they're all in on it. So why are they talking just alone by themselves, where the only person who doesn't know is the audience? It doesn't
Exactly.
make any sense for them to be speaking
Yeah.
like that when there's no one who's not in on the plan around.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah, it's just
so
it's bad planning or just bad execution. I don't know which, but
I know, like
Yeah.
it feels a lot of the
it
time
makes
like
it hard.
I know, it feels like they don't even know what they're gonna. I mean, do they
Yeah.
write episode by episode? I mean, are you kidding me? Do you plan
know,
the
I have-
seasons or?
I have-
Yeah,
I have such
so
huge
lost.
issues with Alice and FP, and I think
Mhm.
it's because of this, because all of this really started with the farm storyline,
True.
even though they had like previous history and stuff like that. Them getting together where they are now is because of the farm, and also because Alice sold her house to FP. It's FP's house now, and Alice and Betty just live there because FP's a nice guy, and
Right.
like,
Weird.
it's so
and gross.
weird. It's so weird. I don't like it. I don't like any TV relationships where the kids and the parents are both dating each other. I think it's
No.
Yeah.
wrong.
It's weird.
I don't
it's
enjoy
really
it.
weird.
Why would
Grey's
you want
Anatomy is
that?
sort of an exception to that, but not really.
No, I found it weird even then with Grey's Anatomy.
I think the only reason I'm okay with it is because like they were all like full adults, whereas like
That's fair.
Yeah.
Betty and Jughead are children.
Yeah, they're teenagers.
They're
And
teenagers.
And they
teenagers
remember that
that
for
are-
a second.
Like
Um,
Betty and Jughead share a bedroom. They're like 17.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. They literally they're teenagers and they're dating and they're sharing a room. Like they're living together.
Yeah, and their parents both live together. They have a mutual half sibling.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah.
So
Every
gross.
time one of them says our brother and doesn't gag, I gag for them. I can't.
Oh my God.
Charles is beyond my comprehension. But
I know, I feel like-
we need to move on.
Yeah.
We could talk about like Riverdale stuff forever. So next we could go on to the whole "I'm a weirdo" speech. I feel like there's not much to say about that, but just to bring it up.
Yeah, like this is like from season 1 before the show
Mhm.
like really went off the rails. Season 1 is actually a great season of television. I'll be honest, I love Riverdale season 1.
Yeah,
I think some
it was
really
the-
great things
the-
happen there. It's planned quite well.
Mhm.
Exactly. I think that it was the most fully fleshed out, and like they had to have a plan because they had to like pitch the show and how it would start and how it would end and why it would be good.
I think season 4 is like the closest to season 1 because they had to plan out this whole Jughead thing more
Right.
so than like a lot of the other seasons.
I would.
It felt more
agree.
planned.
Mhm.
But see,
Because they
it's
had to
definitely
figure out
nowhere
how-
close to season 1. Like season 1 is
Yeah.
the most planned, and I think it has the most like one thread through. Like it's about who killed
Mhm.
Jason, and I think that the other seasons have incorporated too many storylines.
Yes, I would
That's
agree.
the issue. It's like there's not one central mystery.
And I don't think that any of them are that well planned out, so it just really just feels like too much for your brain to even understand.
This moment in season 1 is like so over dramatic because like Jughead has this whole complex where he thinks that he's so weird, and I'm like, Jughead, you're not really that weird.
No,
I mean,
really not.
Like, yeah, he's supposed to be this outcast, and he's so strange, and he's
got like some real ride or die friends who like love him exactly for who he is.
Yeah.
And he's weird because he likes to write and he wears a hat and like his dad's a drunk, and I'm like, those are things that people have to deal with all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, like, looking back right now, I mean, I think Archie is way more weird than Jughead. Like, we'll get into it. I have a couple things to say about Archie and what he does in the seasons, but I mean, really, if you're looking like kind of from an unbiased perspective, like from just what they've done as characters, I think Archie is way weirder than Jughead.
Yeah, like Jughead's been through some rough stuff, but honestly, I like at this point, I would say Jughead was definitely having it more rough than Archie was at this particular point in their lives.
Yes.
Since then, though, Archie's life has gone so far off the rails. I mean, Jughead's had some weird life twists thrown in his direction, but oh my god, poor Archie has really been through the ringer.
Oh yeah, and I think the "I'm a weirdo" speech from Jughead is just like really a quintessential, just a Riverdale moment where it's like, yeah, that's the show. If you just watch that, that's yeah.
I think we're gonna do an episode on like couples that we maybe ship but like maybe aren't super healthy, and like I think Bughead actually falls into this category for me. Which please, Bughead shippers, I love Bughead, but like please don't come for us.
What a claim!
Yeah, like put on your armor there.
I'm still gonna say this anyway. I think that Jughead and Betty at times have a somewhat toxic relationship, and I think a lot of that comes from Jughead. Like I think Betty's the more screwed up one in their relationship. Like Betty has some issues she needs to go to therapy for sure. Mm-hmm. Jughead goes to yelling sometimes really quickly. He's a very short temper sometimes, and he will get up in her face, and I don't like that at all. Yeah, it's really off-putting, and they're young. They're supposed to be 17.
Yeah, and they're children.
Teens and university age students, like university college age students, are the most likely to end up in abusive relationships because we don't have the relationship experience to know better what a healthy relationship is like. Very and like true. I especially in a show marketed to kids, I don't like this is like Bughead's one of the major ships on the show, and I get it, I ship it, but like or at least I did. I might be a Archie shipper now. I'll be honest.
What?
Wow. Okay, we'll talk about that in another episode. Yeah. That's a whole nother episode. I just think that like this "I'm a weirdo" speech is maybe not the most dramatic thing to ever happen on Riverdale. It's delivered with so much drama. Yeah.
But I think that it's the little tiny red flag that, for me, looking back now, signals some bigger red flags down the road for this couple.
Fair enough.
I like that. I like that a lot, actually. Yeah. I like how you tied that right in there.
Yeah.
That was really nice.
Thanks.
So, to segue from a tiny red flag of a little just happened one time tiny little speech in the first season to Archie's bear attack.
Oh god.
And whatever that was supposed to be.
While we're here, I'd like to shout out my favorite Riverdale podcast for like the 8 millionth time on our podcast.
Absolutely.
XOXO Riverdale is our friends, even though they don't know us.
Friend of the pod, like my favorite murder always says. Yeah, friend of the podcast.
Yeah, they don't know us at all, but I'm a huge fan of theirs, and I like to interact with them on Twitter quite a bit, and they were not amused by this bear attack, and anytime Archie's been shirtless ever since, we have to take a minute to look for those scars, those magically disappearing scars that have happened. Archie should be dead.
Literally absolutely. Dead. I just don't even know. I don't even know what to say sometimes with this show. Like, what is actually happening? Was he, 16 at this point?
16, 17-ish.
Yeah, about that.
Assumed in there.
Oh my god. Like...
grade 11, I think, is where he's supposed to be. So however old that's supposed to be. That's usually 15 to 16 or 16 to 17. I don't remember.
I just don't know what to say.
So basically, Archie's... Okay, so before we talk about the bear attack itself, let's talk about some of the Archie storylines that got us here, because the reason that Archie's out in the woods to begin with is because his girlfriend's father has put a hit out on his life.
Oh my god. I hated that
if Archie
storyline
goes
with my
back to
whole
Riverdale,
heart.
he will be killed.
Yeah.
There is money in it for the person who kills Archie Andrews, a 16/17-year-old.
Oh my god, this storyline of Hiram wanting Archie killed is the most is one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard in my whole life. Are you actually serious? Like,
so yeah,
who's coming up
rough.
with this? Are they just asking like 12-year-olds on the street to like, what should these two characters like? What should happen? Oh well, he probably wants him dead. Okay, let's do it. Like, what?
It's wild. It's wild. Like, yeah, that whole concept is crazy. And then it culminates with Archie being in the woods and just being attacked by this bear, and he has a near-death experience.
Well, and he runs away. He runs away to escape this hit out on him. And is he
doesn't bring his father?
Is he? Yeah, which is
his father lets him go.
Yeah, helps him
by himself. Mm-hmm. Helps him to go. Here, take the dog, son.
Oh my god. Isn't he living like in the woods in Canada?
We don't know exactly
something
where
about Canada.
We don't know exactly where it is. We can maybe assume it might be Canada. We don't really know where Riverdale is specifically supposed to be, so we don't really know how close or far Canada might be.
Mm-hmm. I would love if anyone.
It's fine. Maple syrup season's in the fall in Riverdale, so who even cares?
If anyone has never
the Canadian
watched Riverdale,
offended.
If anyone's ever not watched Riverdale before and is listening to this episode, please tell us, because that is, I would love to hear your perspective on all this.
And like I'd like some of our listeners, if they have not seen Riverdale or like aren't caught up on Riverdale, tell us what you think's happened.
That's amazing. I mean, and it's honestly, it feels like we could be talking about a show that's been on for like 20 seasons, but like
it's been on for 4.
It's been on for 4.
There's so much content that happens.
Yeah.
Why?
I'm not even like I'm almost.
I don't even remember what happened in season 2.
I mean,
or 3, really.
It all meshes together. Like it could all be at the same time or be completely different seasons.
Let's move on to like a moment that won't take a lot of time to talk about, but it's another one that's on every single one of those times people stop watching lists. It's the time that Betty sang Mad World in the White Worm and like basically did a strip, and then her boyfriend's father had to like put his jacket on her and like lead her home.
That was another moment that like at that point I was watching the show with my parents. We were watching it together.
It was uncomfortable.
I just wanted to just walk out of the house and keep walking. Like what is actually happening?
I know.
She's again. Let's like reiterate that she's an actual child. She did this strip routine to get into the Serpents, which is sexist in itself, and we've never heard of any other woman having to do this. But
Tony didn't have to strip. There's no way Tony Topaz. Yeah, I mean Cheryl.
And Cheryl is her own thing, but
Cheryl didn't have to do any of the stuff Jughead had to do either. We don't know how. I mean, Cheryl is great as a serpent. I love Serpent Cheryl.
Me too. And her jacket is great too. I like.
Yeah, her jacket.
Can I have that jacket, please?
But yeah, this whole Betty sings Mad World, and it's a nightmare. And the show's had some good musical moments, but this is worse than the Carrie episode we talked about.
True. Yeah, I would agree.
I'd watch the Carrie episode like 3 more times before I'd watch this clip again.
Yeah, same.
Ed and KJ will not be putting this clip in.
I mean, in front of her mother and in front of
I forgot her mother was there.
Yeah, her mother was
she
there.
She was there. Oh my god.
That's why she did it, let's be honest.
I mean, she's a child.
She shouldn't even be allowed in the bar, let alone anything else.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Like, she's like 6 years from being, if they're supposed to be in the US, she's like 6 years from being like legal.
Mm-hmm. And she's in a bar stripping for this gang that she wants to join, and her mother is there, and it's middle-aged men. Oh my god.
Gross.
Yeah, like her mom and her boyfriend's dad, who is now her stepdad, I guess, if you want to call him that.
I guess.
It makes me really uncomfortable now, not to harp on this too much, it makes me really uncomfortable now that Betty still calls him Mr. Jones. They live together.
Yeah.
He lives in her house. they see each other at the breakfast table every morning. It makes me so uncomfortable. He doesn't use like her first name or anything.
True.
Yeah, that's weird.
Or she doesn't use his first name. It's wild.
So, moving on from that.
Yeah, we need to keep going.
We can talk about kind of, I guess, both of these maybe together because they're both Archie focused. Mm-hmm. I wanted to mention Archie's forming of the Red Circle, which is band of, I don't know, vigilantes? I don't know.
I don't even remember what they were fighting.
I don't even remember.
Was it the
serpents? No idea.
Was this one they were fighting the serpents, and then there was also some other gang, like mobster.
I feel like
it might have been the Black Hood. It was the Black Hood.
Yeah,
it was the Black Hood. But it definitely devolved into the serpents versus the Red Circle at some point. Yeah, I'm 100%. Pretty sure. It's been so long since I watched season 2. It's crazy. Yeah, I know. And like Archie had done this again, basically. Like he didn't get other people, but he's still like the first one to jump into vigilante mode. He was still in vigilante mode in season 4.
100%.
Yeah, I feel like it's just something, it's just this random thing that they throw in whenever they need Archie to do something, or like for him to be heroic, quote unquote.
I think it's so unhealthy. Like
it's so unhealthy and so dangerous and so unrealistic. It's just...
Yeah, I hate all of it.
I hate it all.
I don't.
I mean, like in season 2,
Archie's been through some rough things, but like...
It's rough.
True.
Nobody seems to be helping him. I mean, there was that one episode where they all went to the counselor or whatever, and she literally told them to stop doing this because, like, he didn't listen.
And
but, like,
they never talk about it again.
Yeah, and, like, nobody seems to be really looking out for him to, like, make him stop doing this, and I don't like that.
Yeah, especially since, like, Luke Perry, like, isn't on the show anymore, like...
I think his mom just doesn't realize.
No, I don't think that there's, like, an adult figure that's, like, really close to Archie, so, like, I feel like that comes out in his character, that really they can just make him do all these ridiculous things that don't make sense, and...
I want to see more Archie and Kevin's dad, because I just want to make sure that Kevin's dad is still around and parenting Kevin, because we saw what happened in the season where we didn't see Kevin's dad was the season where Kevin did all the horrible things.
Yeah, so...
And I just like to see his dad more, and, like, his dad and Archie seem to be pretty close, so I just like to see, I don't even remember what his dad's name is, to be honest. Tom? Is it Tom?
Is it Tom? God. Tom Keller?
I just say Sheriff Keller, but he hasn't been the sheriff since, like, season 2, so...
But he's still Sheriff Keller.
Kind of dumb. I hope that... I mean, really, at this point, like, no one else has had to face any consequences for literally anything. Like, why don't you just let him be the sheriff again? I mean, FP is, like, a gang leader and also the sheriff,
so...
Yeah.
But let's just talk about Archie going to juvie.
Yes, let's talk about that. Another thing that just, I mean, Archie
gets wrongly convicted of a murder, and, like, I'll be honest, having binged a lot of true crime in my life, this can happen.
Yes.
Anybody can be wrongly convicted of a murder. Especially when the person who's framing you for said murder has, like, such unlimited resources.
Exactly. Has money and power.
And you're just, like a dopey little kid in high school. Like,
this teenager that no one believes.
Honestly, Archie's lucky. He has great resources. Like, his mom's a lawyer.
Yeah,
and, like,
he's really lucky.
The money and the experience and the knowledge of the legal system to, like, actually, like, help him make a defense. I mean, it doesn't work. He still gets convicted, but, like, he's really lucky to even have that, but, like...
Yeah,
it's not so much that he gets wrongly convicted of a murder, it's the fact that this is not how juvie works anywhere.
No.
If this is how juvie works anywhere, then that juvenile detention center needs to be closed. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm already concerned about
everything that happens
juvie in jail.
Illegal, yeah.
But...
Well, yeah, I mean, like... they have this fight club where the juvie... I don't know. I don't want to call them prisoners, but the people in juvie, the kids in juvie, have to fight each other, and the warden bets on it, and
it's horrible.
I mean, also the episode where they play football. This is one of the stupidest things to ever happen in Riverdale. And
that's the activity that's, like, should be the most likely to happen in juvie, and somehow ends up being the most ridiculous. Like, that's what juvie should be like. And because their juvie experience is them in paid fights against one another, it ends up just being ridiculous.
I know, and it's such it ends up being such
they're kids. I mean, it doesn't help they're all played by adults, but they're supposed to be kids.
And it just feels so weird in contrast to all the Fight Club stuff, and then Archie has this moment of you guys didn't get to experience high school. Let's play football just like high schoolers would.
That's how juvie should be in.
Yeah.
Because it's Riverdale, it feels out of place because
it
that's
feels
not how
so
juvie's
weird.
In. We don't even really have a lot of juvenile detention centers in Canada, just because there isn't really a need for them. Mm-hmm. And because, we try and divert kids out of the justice system as much as possible, that there aren't so many kids that we have juvenile detention centers all over the place. I mean, obviously, sometimes we do have kids in custody, but we don't have that many in Canada. Right. It's not a thing anymore so much here.
Which I feel might have, for me, might have even heightened, the ridiculousness of this for me. That he was even going to juvie at all was,
the thing is, he got charged with a murder.
Well, also that.
If you're going to be in prison for anything, it's going to be murder.
It's going to be that one.
Well, yeah.
There aren't a whole lot of worse things you can really do, especially when you're Archie Andrews.
True.
If he got sent to juvie for vandalism or something, I'd be he shouldn't be in juvie. It's ridiculous that he's in there. But his trumped up fake charge was a murder, so I understand.
Yeah, no, I get it why they had to, but the fact that they he's this teenage high schooler, and then he got charged with a murder, which is ridiculous, and so it's ridiculous that he goes to juvie, and so it's ridiculous that in this Fight Club, and then
just completely ridiculous
to let off steam, play football in juvie, and then this guy talks about, I dropped out in 4th grade to run drugs to support my Nana in that episode.
Oh, yeah, that's Mad Dog. That does sound ridiculous.
It was a different guy. It was a totally different guy that we'd never seen before or since.
That does sound ridiculous, but honestly, I feel that probably is the case for some people.
Yeah,
I feel that's not
unfortunately not far-fetched.
Yeah, I feel that's probably not crazy for some neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Which is so sad.
The way that Riverdale does it, though, it feels
so exploitative.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. That. It feels I don't know. A lot of things that Riverdale does, it doesn't quite hit the mark. Moira, when did you stop? Was there an episode where you just turned off the TV and were I'm done?
The one with the doll that Cheryl and Tony kept talking about. I was nope, I'm over
that
it.
That is a ridiculous storyline. I didn't know how to put this on my list, but you're definitely right. And because I watched season 4, I watched season 4 kind of 3 times. I watched it once as it was coming out this year. And then XOXO Riverdale didn't cover it during the year like they usually do. They waited until it was over, basically, and then they started covering it every week. So I rewatched it as I was listening to their coverage. And then between those two things, you guys were both catching up, and I watched bits and pieces with you guys.
Right.
Their Netflix party, because quarantine. And so there's definitely some episodes this season I've seen 3 times. And that section was one of it, and the doll storyline is awful and horrible.
It really is really terrible.
It's so weird and so gross.
Riverdale missed the mark too. Riverdale tried to do something with it, where they were this is gaslighting. I'm yes, but also I feel there's other situations where they could have introduced the concept of gaslighting, and I think Betty and Jughead have gaslit each other a couple of times.
True.
I swear I love Becca, guys. I really do.
Please,
I'm just a little disillusioned with it at the moment, but
pump the brakes.
I definitely think that there's been times where they've gaslit each other and just not used the word gaslighting, and I think that would have been a better time to use it than in this. I think this whole Cheryl, Julian, doll, Tony situation didn't need to happen. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
went too far. It's on the Izzy Denny ghost sex storyline level for me. True. I hate it.
Very true.
Yeah. So anything else as far as Riverdale goes that we want to mention?
No, I don't want to talk about Riverdale anymore.
I'm sure that there's so many more. This whole show is just full I mean, you could probably do a whole, like, we could do...
specifically crazy episodes you want us to cover, and we might just, like, cover, like, one episode.
Yeah, let us know.
Of Riverdale. Just, like, we'll go really in-depth on, like, all the crazy shit that happened.
Yeah, tell us what you think the
because
most...
if there's a specific episode you want us to cover...
Yeah, tell us what you think the craziest thing to ever happen in Riverdale is, because...
And we'll cover just that one episode.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about the tickle porn storyline.
Oh my god.
The what?
Moira, cover your little ears.
I'm leaving that reaction.
The what?
The what?
So
I don't remember.
Kevin and Fangs, right? It's Fangs. I cannot keep Fangs and Sweet Pea straight to save my life. Kevin and Fangs have got roped into this straight out of the headlines. This is a real thing. This is totally based on a real thing, exactly like the cults. This tickle porn industry.
Oh my god.
Where it's like not even really porn. Like I mean, it's a fetish type situation. But yeah, you just tickle each other and videotape it, and you sell that tape for money.
And they get a lot of money.
People have fetishes. This is a real thing, but somehow Kevin and Fangs have gotten themselves involved, and they got the River Vixens involved, and
oh my god, incredible!
They tortured Nick Sinclair with it, and it's off the walls. And I mean, it is like literally right out of the headlines. There's that documentary that TCO covered way back in the day, Tickled, is literally what this is based on. Yeah.
Oh
it's off the walls entirely, and should not be in Riverdale.
No.
It's like such a weird, out of character. It's a thing we were talking about with Kevin, where Kevin's whatever gay guy you need him to be, and today he's Kevin, the guy who's okay with making this like not quite porn.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and it's upsetting.
Whatever for money. Yeah,
this is a show literally marketed pretty much exclusively to teens, and let's not even say that any sort of like videotaping yourself to fulfill the fetishes of adults is okay.
No.
Like, let's just get that right out of here. It's not okay. Nope. Maybe Riverdale's not going to ever be on our recommended list.
Yeah.
Maybe Riverdale's coming off my list of shows that I ever ask people to watch.
I don't think I would ever recommend it, but, like, am I going to stop watching it? Like, probably, absolutely
Probably.
Not.
I'm probably going to stick it out at this point. I'm invested. I do not have the ability to stop watching shows.
I mean, I do. I for sure do. But I feel like at this point...
I do, but I also don't.
I mean, at this point, I've suffered through so much. I mean...
You just gotta finish the show.
I can't give up. I mean, because then it would have been for nothing. You know?
There's actually a moment... I'm surprised that Faith didn't have this on our list. And while we're just revisiting Riverdale, we've talked way too much about Riverdale in this episode. While we're, like, finishing off this Riverdale section for real, I know this is a moment that, like, Faith literally stopped watching for a while again. With, I think it's in season 3, Cheryl and Tony are, like, in a fight. And then they, like, make up at the Bon Nuit, but they're, like, the only two there, and they, like, basically have sex on camera. Like, we see a lot of them having sex in the Bon Nuit, and it's, like, angry sex, and it's not the most graphic I've ever seen on TV, because, like, I watch Game of Thrones, where, like, they're allowed to have actual nudity, and, like, even though Riverdale is mostly a Netflix show, it does technically air on CW, so they do have to follow network rules. So it's not, like, the most graphic, but it was pretty graphic. And, like...
Yeah.
Again, these girls are supposed to be, like, 17.
I know.
And, like, I think that's my big issue with Riverdale, is that they're all supposed to be teenagers.
I know.
If they were in college, it would be better. I think. Or at least I'd be able to be okay with it. Like, it would still be a lot, but, like...
Yeah, I think that really... Like, I don't know. It always is in my mind that, like, when I'm watching this kind of stuff, like, these are supposed to be high school kids.
Yeah, like, I never want to be, like, not sex positive. But, like...
Yeah, exactly.
These are children.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a lot when they're trying to be so edgy and
like, the
sexual.
Sex scenes are, like, designed to look sexy, which I don't know if you've ever met any 17-year-olds, but that's not... not just, really how it looks.
This show is just, like, so overly sexualized, and they sexualize these characters so much that
like,
that was definitely a part that...
I mean, they're played by adults, and they forget that they're not adult characters as well as adult actors, and, like...
And they want to be edgy, but I just think a lot of the time Riverdale just goes too far. And like KJ said, I had to take a break after this episode because it is just so much.
And it's not, obviously it's not just Cheryl and Tony. Like, I don't want to single out Cheryl and Tony because Cheryl and Tony are like a really great couple. It's nice to see I mean, do we know that Cheryl is bisexual, or we know Tony's bisexual? Do we know what Cheryl identifies herself as?
I don't
think it's ever mentioned.
No.
I don't think it's ever
know for
specifically said. But anyway, they both identify as women. So like it's really nice to see a couple that's like so popular in media that's two women. That's really nice. But
they're absolutely one of my favorites.
But they're not the only couple that are depicted this way. I think Archie and Veronica and Betty and Jughead 100% have the most sex on camera, but we don't usually see that much of what's happening. Whereas,
and I feel like
they'll just strip KJ Appa down to down to like his underwear, or like at least make him shirtless any chance they can get. So anytime that he and Veronica are going to do anything at all, then like we're gonna see KJ Appa without a shirt on, which is kind of gross.
Yeah, like I feel like
not KJ Appa. He has a beautiful body. He works very hard on it. I'm sure, but like But yeah, like Archie's supposed to be 17 or 18 at this point, and like 16 in the first season, and like. We didn't even talk about Miss Grande. We can't keep talking about Riverdale, guys. Riverdale.
Oh my god. I mean, we could literally go through every single episode and every single thing that's ever happened in Riverdale.
We're not a Riverdale podcast.
New series of Riverdale podcast starting next week.
God. Let us know if that's something you want. We'll do it. We'll suffer.
We don't have the time. KJ.
Hey, this is Ed and KJ. So the section that you're about to hear was actually part of the section that you would have heard at the end of episode 9. It's from one of our Ender segments, and this is just a little extended bonus version of Moira's Lose It from episode 9, where we talked again about Betty and her performance of Mad World.
The Betty Mad World thing really messed with me. I did not like it because like I really identified with Betty and a lot of the rest of her character, and I was like, ew, gross, no, stop it.
Yeah, I know. It's so outlandish in the worst way.
Yeah. It is one of the first good FP moments that we have, though, I will say. It's like one of the first times we see FP do anything good.
Very true.
And it's him hustling Betty out of there and giving her a jacket.
But also, like...
But it took him way too long to do it, and it was horrible to watch. Yeah, it was upsetting.
No, I didn't need that in my
life. That was on so many lists.
Yeah, and then I think at the time, too, like, Mad World was such a meme of a song.
Yeah.
I remember watching it, like, beside my parents, like, actually not knowing what was happening. I mean, that happens in Riverdale for me a lot, where you just look around and you just ask yourself, like, what am I doing?
Yeah. My mom didn't make it through season 2, so.
No.
I don't watch with anyone else anymore.
No, I don't watch with my parents anymore. Like,
never.
So, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah.
It's too much to watch with your parents.
Yeah.
It's just
never would have tried that. That would have done well.
Yeah.
Well, that was a lot of conflicted feelings about Riverdale. But that was it. That was our bonus episode. I hope you all enjoyed it. And you've been listening to the Series of Opinions podcast, so definitely let us know what you thought about this week's episode and our bonus episode, and leave us a review because that really helps us out. Or you can get in contact with us directly on social media. Our email address is seriesofopinionspod@gmail.com. You can find us at Series of Opinions Pod on Tumblr and Instagram, and at Series of Opinion with no S on Twitter. You can find me at Life Messes of KJ on everything. You can find Faith at Miss Faith Ann, and for her art things, you can find her at Faith Ann Art. And Moira can be found everywhere at Moira_Frisk. This episode was written, recorded, and produced by us. It was edited by me, editing KJ, and our logo is by Faith Ebert. You can find her at Faith Ann Art. And that was our episode for this week. We will be talking about some New Year's things next week on the 1st of January. So next time we hear from you, it'll be 2021. Thanks for listening. Bye.